You are now listening to the West Side of THAAfterparty.com.
Hi, I'm James Lott Jr., producer and host of Extra Connections. Join me every Monday live at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I bring on people from all walks of life. I will connect you with people, places, things, and ideas. You'll never know who will stop by. That's Extra Connections every Monday on the West Side of the After Party Radio. See you at the party.
Connections. Extra Connections. 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 People, places, things, ideas. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, healings. Arts, culture, politics, science. Health, music, acting, dance. Connections. Extra connections. 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 Older, younger, full hunger. Living life, victory, strife. Arts, culture, politics, science. Health, music, acting, dance. 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 Connections. Extra connections. 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 Extra connections. Connections. Extra connections.
And we are back. It's Monday night. You know what that means. Extra Connections time. I'm your host, James Lott Jr., and I'm so glad to be back with you guys on another hot Monday from Los Angeles. But I know many of you out there have hot everywhere, too. I heard, like, New York, back east. Europe is hot, too. It's just kind of crazy everywhere. Global warming is real, folks. It's not a joke. It's not a joke.
It is not a joke.
Not a joke. And I have a guest with me who's been on before. He's now our resident NP.
Well, thank you.
Make your brand in there, too.
Medical expert, but
Yes.
right, get the brand in.
Yeah,
of
get the
course,
brand in there.
of
We're going to
course,
ask
yeah.
the NP, so occasionally he'll be on here. We'll be asking the NP, James Simmons.
Why, thank you very much
All
for
right,
having me. I'm
of
super
course.
happy to be back. Hello, Extra Connections audience. My audience is right here too.
Is that true?
We're not even going to trip. We're just going to be
And we're
real
trying to
about
figure
this.
out a name for you guys. Are you guys connectors? Are you guys all
Oh.
extras? I don't know. We have to figure it out.
Extras. I
Let me
kinda
know.
like it.
I gotta figure it out. I kind of extras. I always call it extra crispy once, so I don't know if that makes anything.
Hey,
so.
that works too.
That works.
I love it.
So a little housekeeping. First of all, you can follow us on the Facebook channel, which is Extra Connections. This is through the After Party Radio.
The
which is
After Party.
That's the After Party, yay! And that's THA. Folks, no E, THA After Party on all social media platforms and on Facebook. And of course, Miss Britt is in the house. She's also the one doing the things on the machines out there to make us look good, and you can hear us.
Making us look good.
Yeah,
right.
making us look good. Her braids, I love her braids. Go on, Miss
Right.
Brittany. And so you can follow us, and this also becomes a podcast and a YouTube video. So my YouTube channel is JLJ Media. While you're there, be so kind and subscribe to it and watch all kinds of things I do on there. I have like thousands of hours of videos on
How
there.
nice, too, that you asked. Please be so kind.
Please be so kind.
As to follow.
Follow an old man.
like
Come on,
that.
just do it.
Because it's good stuff, right?
I have
It's
good
excellent
stuff from AfterBuzz
right?
TV. I did an interview with Michelle Stafford yesterday from General Hospital in
I
Y&R.
saw
She plays
that.
Phyllis on Y&R,
On
and we had
Y&R.
it was a big interview.
That's
we did
a
that.
big star interview,
Yeah,
James.
it was. And she's my friend.
Wow.
She's my friend. I like to call her my friend.
That's awesome.
It
That's
is.
so great.
There's a bunch of stuff on there. But then this also is an audio podcast on iTunes, Spreaker.com, and iHeartRadio.
Oh, very good. We love iHeartRadio. We
I do.
heart iHeartRadio.
Oh, the Jameses are
Who's
in town.
this guy?
Cheese and crackers.
It's Monday
Is
night.
there any other church announcements? I think that's it. I think it's everything. Just follow us
All the
everywhere. And
announcements?
you can
Okay.
follow me where all James Lott Juniors are sold at James Lott Jr. and all social media platforms. Where can I follow you?
Stop it. You were just dropping them tonight. You said
am.
we're all James Lott
Juniors
Juniors
are sold. Thank you.
Is this now? Should we plug your book now too? Just like everything, like your
You can
book,
get
your
my
TV
book. My latest book is called 1+1+1. It is a science fiction mystery. You can get it on Amazon and Amazon Kindle.
I'm here for. You know what I'm here for right now is to just let's just plug James the whole time.
I have music out too. I have books. I have everything.
right.
I'm a James of all trades.
You are a James of all trade. By all Jameses can be found at
Okay.
James Lott Jr. I messed it up. Oh my
So
God, I
we'll
love
stick.
it.
You stick to being the nurse practitioner, medical
Correct.
professional,
No,
speaker, host that you are.
Thank you.
And we're gonna talk health today. We're gonna talk about. We have some questions you guys sent in to me, and we're gonna actually answer them. We're asking the NP. All right.
And we have a bell.
We have a bell. We have a bell. We're gonna overabuse it too, I'm sure.
Right.
Okay. So the first question we're gonna ask, we're just gonna dive right on in.
We're just going.
We're
Okay.
gonna dive right.
Little
We're
mini
gonna dive
drum roll
right
for the
on
first
in.
questions. Well, I think before we even go into
Oh,
the
yeah.
questions, I think it's really good to know. I think everyone listening and watching needs to know that part of what we do here, and part of I think James, why you and I sort of connected on this, is that I try to talk about health in a different way. Not in a non-stuffy way, so I'm going to use lots of not clinical terms.
Yeah,
well,
right.
English is
I know.
difficult
That's
for
fine,
me
that's
today.
fine, That's fine.
I
You're pretty.
was in Vegas over the weekend, so that's
Yeah, I saw.
have an excuse. Yeah.
Yes.
But so we go there, and sometimes I'm going to be a little controversial, and sometimes I'm going to be a little bit forward, and this is not going to be your typical sort of medical interview.
No,
And but I think it's good. I think people respond to that. This is why I do what I do. So I just would like to prepare people, though, because we have some first timers watching
Yes,
and listening.
yes.
That you gonna ask the question, and we're gonna give you the answer.
Yes. And I used to be a nurse myself, but we like talking in plain terms.
Correct.
Just plain, direct terms, and not all those fancy words. So we want you to get it.
Right. And feel empowered.
Yes.
Like be done listening to this in 57 and a half minutes or whatever, and just be like, I'm cool. I'm good. I know what to do.
Yes,
Ooh, something's
definitely.
on my ear.
Yeah. So the first one we're going to talk about is, so you're dating, and you're new.
Mm-hmm.
How soon should you discuss your sexual past?
Oh, that's like the most controversial one. We really just jumped right in
Let's
there.
start off with that one. Just because people date all the time. It's like, how much do you reveal and how soon?
Well, I of course go to the medical side of this right away. So I think you should absolutely be having discussions with people about your sexual history in terms of health
Okay.
before you get to the bedroom
Okay, I like that.
or
Okay.
wherever you decide the sex is going to happen. So if you have, and this will piggyback nicely into some of the other things we're going to talk about,
Yeah.
but if you have herpes, that is part of your sexual past,
Yeah,
right?
you gotta
And
tell
I think
somebody.
before you have sex with someone, you need to disclose to them, I have herpes. But it's well managed because I'm on this medication. I always use condoms, X, Y, and Z. Now, so from a health standpoint, I think you do this very early.
Okay.
But what really I think people are getting at is the emotional aspect of this, right?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
do you actually want to know how many people I've slept with before I got to you? That's what people are really.
I think that's probably what the question is.
I think that's
probably.
really what the question is.
context behind
And then
the
that is, I mean, I am my own love and relationship expert. I am not overall a love and relationship expert, but I will tell you that can sometimes be a really sensitive thing.
Yes.
And I think you have to get to know someone for a while before it's not going to be date 3. And you're going to be like, well, 21 through 29, I was up in the thousands, right?
Right,
Like
right.
you're not going to disclose that
No.
when you're 33 and having a date. You need to get to know someone and see how they're going to be able to react to this and what their response is going to be.
I think one of the things you're trying to say also kind of is that you need to really know your room, so to speak.
Know your
audience.
audience.
Know your audience. Read the
Right.
room. Know your
Exactly.
audience. And when you're on a date, 'Cause the one thing mistake people make a lot of times is on the first date say everything.
Yeah, correct.
Verbal diarrhea, just
Totally guilty of that.
that's you.
Oh
That's
my
you?
God, it used to be. You know what? I don't know. We're pushing 7 years though, so like I don't even remember. I mean, I remember dating, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
but like I don't really remember. I am that type of person though. I sort of word vomit everything. So I probably was. I was probably like, oh yeah, I had sex 3 times last week, like whatever, with 3 different people, and I'm sure my dates were like, oh okay.
They're like, bye, thanks.
Right,
Thank
they're
you.
they're
Yeah.
not down with that.
Yes, no. I'm a person who likes to slowly just put things out.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to give everything away. I like to kind of dole it out a little bit.
That's probably good.
Yeah.
I think
so.
that's good.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think so.
So we actually want to know, can people comment, right? They can comment.
Yeah, they can. Janice is watching. Hi, Janice. I know Janice. Hi, Janice. She's watching.
Hello, Janice. I think you guys should comment as well. We want to
Yeah,
know.
please want to. Yeah.
You know, what you think is too early. To have that conversation, because it always comes up.
Yes.
It
does.
always comes up.
Yeah,
Someone always says, "Do what's your number?" Right? How many people have you slept with before? What's your number? And sometimes that number, you know, I think when people ask that question, there are like ulterior motives. They're sort of trying to get at like what has your sexual past been like? And frankly, this goes back to a platform that I have many platforms, but one of platform heals as well.
Yes.
But one of the platforms that I like feel really strongly about is not slut shaming, and being like really sex positive. So if this is 2 consenting adults who are practicing safe and doing whatever consensual sexual act that is good for them, I don't think the number actually matters.
I agree.
I think that's a society thing. I think, especially when it comes to women. Like I know we're talking to a lot of gay men, but
women don't shame them.
no shame. But there's so much stigma about a woman who is like feeling empowered and owning her sexuality, which there shouldn't be any stigma about that at all. But what that gets reduced to is a number.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a dude and you've had sex with 20 people before you were 25, you're a stud. If you're a woman, you've had sex with 25 people before you're 25, like, they're calling you a slut, and I don't agree with that at all.
There is a funny episode of Will and Grace. Have you ever seen it? There's an episode where they do the number thing, and Woody Harrelson was playing a character on the show.
Okay, yep.
With Grace, and his number was low in terms of how many women he had been with.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," but it turned out he had more sex with those 4 people. It was a really funny. It was a really funny kind of twist on it. And I was like, but she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you're gonna get on 4 people. Oh, my, that's it." He's like, "Well, there was like 5,000 times like that." But it was like something really funny the way he did it. It was like really kind of this whole thing about the number.
It's a thing, and that number should not be a thing. It should not. It should be about quality over quantity, and it really just should be about a consensual, mutual, respectful sort of like situation. Right? It doesn't always have to be like someone you've been in love with for years before you have sex. Like that's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying if 2 adults decide that this is an activity that they want to take part of, they're communicative about it and they're safe, number doesn't matter.
And also the flip side, if you're a virgin or you're saving yourself, that's okay too to tell
Absolutely.
your partner,
No
and no shaming
judgment.
on that either, right?
Although there's so much stigma. I mean, we make reality TV shows about the 25-year-old virgin or the movie, the 40-year-old virgin.
Yeah.
And because there is so much stigma in society about that, and I just think it's so funny because we have this, I'm not going to go way into our history, but we have this sort of like puritanical history in the United States about like, oh, we're saintly and virginal, whatever. But then we tease people who are virgins when they're 35, and we make TV shows about them because it's so rare. Like, this is why I think we need to get rid of the stigma about sex in general. Like, just in general. It's something we all do. We just need to talk about it in normal terms and get rid of all that stigma.
One of the questions on your IG Live is a good one.
Hello,
can you read
IG
the
Live.
question? Can you read it? Can you see it?
What is your sexual health status?
No, the one before
Oh,
that.
the one. How do you ask a new person you're dating to go get an STD checkup without hurting their feelings?
That's a good question.
That is an excellent question. Loving the live questions, by the way.
That's a great question. It goes into this kind of like
it absolutely
same thing
does.
with saying when was the last time you were tested? Like when was the last time you were tested, and should you get tested together? Like that's the same kind of question. Like how soon do you do that?
Absolutely. I think you do that right away. Well, all right.
Or before you decide.
Before you have sex, right?
Okay.
Bottom line. But what I think was really interesting about this question, Sanir Ramirez, is not hurting their feelings.
Right.
And I think right there, all of us, it already shows how society has got this, I'll use the word stigma again, but this relationship with sex that is so like sex is bad, sex is taboo, sex is something we shouldn't talk about, to the point where this individual is just trying to keep herself safe by asking her sexual partner, like, what is your STD, STI status? And when was the last time you got tested, and do you want to go together? And even the fact that we have to ask that question because it might hurt someone's feelings, I think is really poignant. But there are ways to do this. So I think honestly, it's all about communication. It's all about being willing to be a little bit vulnerable yourself and say, you know what? I do this every 3 months. I'm sexually active. I get an STD, STI, HIV test every 3 months. I would like for you to go with me. That way we can both feel really calm and confident and comfortable in this amazing sex that we're about to have.
And I think their reaction will tell you everything.
100%.
What kind of person they are. So
Yep.
to me, and if you get an attitude, get bye.
Yep.
For me, bye. Thank you.
That is a cue on that one. So have the confidence yourself, Sanir Ramirez. Have a lot of confidence with it. Say that I want to protect you. I want to protect myself. I want us to have some bomb-ass, worry-free sex. So let's go to the clinic together. Let's go to the nurse practitioner's office together. Let's go wherever. There's so many places that you can get screened for STDs, STIs, HIV. Now it's not like a thing where you sneak into the public health clinic with a hoodie on, you know. Like people are just going, hashtag my results are negative, you know, like people are all about it these days and I love it. So, you know, just say, hey, I think we should go with this, go together. Let's do this so that we can just be worry-free and get our sex on.
Yes. That leads into if you have herpes, because sometimes you have recurring herpes, certain spots, can you have sex? Someone to know, how can you? You can have sex.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, so this is a question from one of your viewers, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody wrote in, can you have sex if you have herpes? Absolutely. You better be having sex if you have herpes. But there are little bit of like some guidelines that you have to follow, right?
Yes.
Because people with herpes absolutely have to do what everyone should be doing in the first place. And so they have to have these conversations. They have to, before a sexual encounter, disclose that they have herpes. Also, there are medications that can keep herpes, like the viral load of herpes. So we talk about viral load with herpes just like we do with HIV, because it is a virus. And, oh, by the way, we all have some form of herpes. Every single person on the planet, I'll say older than 11, has herpes.
Okay.
Most of us have HSV1, and it's what amounts as like a cold sore, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. Some people have other versions of this, and that it generates as like genital warts or herpes lesions, right? Genital herpes lesions. So we're talking about genital wart or genital herpes. If you have genital herpes, you should absolutely have sex. There are medications that can suppress your viral load and keep it really low so that the likelihood that you'll transmit herpes to somebody else is also really low.
Okay.
Especially when you use a condom.
Okay.
So you just got to have take your medications, use a condom, and disclose your status. Just say, hey, I have herpes. It's well controlled. I always use a condom when I have sex. Let's go.
Perfect. Kind of in the same area, does PrEP affect blood pressure?
Ooh, we're switching it up to PrEP.
It's a little something. It's kind of the same. Now you're talking about you're having sex, whatever, but now you're thinking, I'm going to take PrEP, but, you know, I have high blood pressure. What is that?
Do they interact? Sure. So for those of you who are watching and who may not know or listening, or hello, IG Live, we got all kinds of folks here.
Yes.
For those of you that may not know, PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's a medication that you can take. When you take it as directed, it is about 98 to 99% effective at preventing HIV transmission. So a lot of people, you know, I'm realizing like PrEP is very prevalent in our community and we talk about it a lot. We talked about it last time I was here. Yep. But a lot of people just actually don't even really know what PrEP is. So if you are HIV negative, you can take this medication. If you take it the right way, 99% of the time it will prevent you from getting HIV, which is fantastic. It's amazing. So PrEP is a medication, and all medications have side effects. All medications have some sort of interactions. Okay. There's always some risk with medications. Sometimes it's really big, sometimes it's really small. PrEP is sort of like a small to moderate risky medication, if you will. Okay. It does not specifically directly interact with blood pressure. So you can take PrEP and it will not directly interact with blood pressure.
Okay.
However, one of the few side effects, or not side effects, but one of the few possible issues with PrEP for some people is that it can be really tough on your kidneys.
Oh, okay.
And what most people don't know is that a lot of our blood pressure is regulated through this system called the renin-angiotensin system in our kidneys.
Yes.
So our kidneys actually help regulate our blood pressure. So if you're one of the less than 1% of people who have kidney issues with PrEP, one of the ways you might know that is because your blood pressure might start going through the roof. It's because PrEP is hurting your kidneys, and your kidneys actually help modulate your blood pressure in your body. Does that make sense? So it's not direct. So all the rest of us who are taking PrEP, like, we're cool. It's not really going to mess with our blood pressure. It's also not really going to mess with common blood pressure medications.
Okay.
But for the few people that it does hurt your kidneys, it can really impact your blood pressure. And either way, you should then stop taking the medication.
Very good. Very good.
Whew, that was a lot.
I know it was a
We're
lot.
having science class in here, though.
Yes, and we're going to take a break. We're going to take our first break for the evening. We're going to take a break. We're going to hear a song from me, of course. Of course.
Perfect. Good.
This is Extra Connections on the After Party Radio. We'll be right back.
You're on. 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 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. You're on. 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 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. You're on. 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 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. You're on. 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 You're on.
And we are back. Extra Connections. I'm James Lott Jr. James Simmons, Ask the MP is here. Hello.
James and James.
That song you just heard is called 321 You're On. It's from my album that's free on my SoundCloud page, James Lott Jr.
Awesome.
It's from my show that I used to do called Breaking Into on Black Hollywood Live. That's how we
That's
kind of know each
right.
other.
Yeah, exactly.
And just a little side note, I'm up for 2 awards. So
What? Get out.
In 2 weeks when I have no show, in 2 weeks here, I'll be in D.C. crossing my fingers that I win. I don't know.
Stop it. Wait, tell us
Yes.
more. What is this
So
for?
it's the Capital City Web Awards.
Okay.
And I'm up for Best Host and up for Best Show for Breaking Into.
Get
I know, I can't believe I'm never nominated for anything.
out.
Chances are I'm not going to win, but I'm the old man of the group too. I know
That's
all.
all
I
right.
know all of the nominees, and I'm like, oh, okay. They're all babies.
They're all babies.
They're all babies.
That
but
is fantastic.
I'm nominated for 2 awards,
Congratulations.
yeah. I know, it's kind of crazy. So
I didn't know. You didn't tell me
I
that.
just, you know.
Just to surprise me in the
Yes,
middle of a
yes.
live show.
And I'm
That's right.
presenting that night too. I found out.
Are you really?
I'm
Oh,
presenting
wow.
Best Actress.
Get out.
Yeah, I know
Look
through
at
the
this
actresses in
one.
the categories. It's kind of weird. So yeah, but the Capital City Web Awards, they will be televised. So if you follow me at all the James Lott Jr. stuff, you'll know that stuff. But
James Lott Jr.
I'm just trying to find my outfits. I'm trying to get that together.
Which is key.
Yeah, no,
It's
I have a
huge.
jacket already. I gotta find the rest of it.
Sometimes it's that anchor piece.
Yes.
You find the one piece and then
Yes.
you build the outfit around it.
Exactly.
Mine is typically shoes. I find the pair of shoes I want to wear and then I build the outfit around it.
Oh, okay. So okay. I'm starting from top down. So I got jackets, and I'm gonna.
Gonna work that.
Go
I
from
can't
there.
wait to see.
Thank
it.
you,
I can't wait to
Janice.
see.
Thank you. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't do the show anymore. But it's like Sarah Jessica Parker says something when Sex and the City ended and she won an Emmy. It was like the great punctuation of the end of a long sentence. I like that because I ended the show and I just feel like this is kind of nice to get nominated for. And one of the shows I was nominated for was my interview with Todd Bridges.
Oh really? Oh wow.
He spilled
Good
all
for
the tea. He
you.
spilled all the tea,
Really?
and he's the only one alive left of the cast. They're all dead
What?
except for him. And
Are they all old enough to be dead? I
No,
guess?
Dina Plato, she died young.
Uh huh.
Gary Coleman died,
Yes, of course.
and then all the rest are old. They died.
They were old enough.
Tom
Wow.
Red Bane, they're all dead.
Look at you.
He's the only one. He told me he's like the only. He said they thought he would die first.
Uh huh.
That's what he said on the show.
I'm worried sick about James Lott Jr. over here getting nominated for awards and
I know,
stuff.
so-
I'm not telling everybody.
Thank
Congratulations.
you,
That is
thank you,
fantastic.
thank you.
That is
It's
honest.
very cool.
Now you're gonna get an award for extra connections too. You hear
Yes,
that?
I can apply. I can send this next year, I guess. I can send this, I
you
could
can
next year. I
submit
could.
this.
Yes,
Exactly.
I could do that. So we're talking health, folks. We're talking health. We're going to switch it up a little bit. And someone asked about tingling in legs and feet. I've had occasionally where I sat wrong and pinched a nerve in my leg. I can tell, and it shoots straight down and makes my leg or feet a little tingly. Once I change position, it was better.
It's better, right?
But people are asking in general, but the whole kind of feel like spiders are on there, whatever that kind of thing. Yeah. So what's that about?
So tingling in the legs, specifically the legs and feet, can be a lot. It is crazy how many things can cause that. It is very common. It is very bothersome. It bothers people a lot. I put it in the category of, so when I'm in the emergency department or my other job, wherever, I will tell you there's always the medical conditions that are, oh, and by the way. So people come in and they're like, my chest hurts, I can't breathe, like whatever. And then you get them feeling better. You know, you're like, here's the plan. This is what we're going to do. And they're like, oh, by the way, my legs have been numb and tingling for like 6 months. This happens all the time. It is one of the, oh, by the ways. So a very popular question, something that happens a lot.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, I'm going to work sort of backwards from most dangerous. So if you have one leg or one foot that has gone numb just like that without a reason that you cannot absolutely identify. You weren't sitting on it, you didn't sleep funny, you didn't try on a new pair of shoes, you're not in a new chair, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So unilateral numbness that's pretty severe. To the point where you're like, it hurts to walk, or that could be a medical emergency. And that's something that you need to have checked out right away. Like that's like call your doctor or nurse practitioner or go to the emergency room, okay? Otherwise, generally numbness and tingling in the legs, the number one cause is diabetic neuropathy. So what happens is, so neuropathy is a big general term for like issues with your nerves, like pain, like nerves with your, or pain with your nerves. And what happens in diabetic neuropathy is that all of the excess sugar in your bloodstream kind of starts to eat away at the inside of your blood vessels. That can, your blood vessels are right next to nerves, and that starts to make the nerves really sensitive, and they hurt. Is the easiest way, rather than getting in all the science. So it's very, very common in people who have diabetes, particularly long-standing diabetes. There are some medications that can help for it. They don't work great. They also, if the medications for it work, you tend to then eventually need more of them. While they're not narcotics, your body does sort of build up a tolerance to them. So my biggest thing for numbness in your legs and feet are, if it's one-sided and pretty severe, like it hurts bad, get it checked out. Otherwise, don't get diabetes.
Right.
Or if you do have diabetes, speak with your provider about how to manage it really, really well. Because you can prevent this, but once that diabetic neuropathy sort of sets in, we don't have a lot of solutions for it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I have friends who have it, so I just want to make sure people. Sometimes it really is just your foot falls asleep. Like
100%.
you lay a weird way and your
Yeah.
arm falls asleep, and you just kind of shake it off, and usually it comes back.
Totally. Yeah, that happens. That happens all the time. You just shake it out, and then you're
Yeah.
totally fine. And I think those are things that we've all, even when we were kids, we would know that those things would happen. But I always have to say that from an emergency standpoint, if you're like, I cannot walk on my right leg right now because I can't feel it at all, and I can't feel it, but it hurts, especially that odd combo, right? Like I'm touching my leg and I don't feel it, but it's really hurting me. Go call 911. Go to the ER. That could be either a stroke or a blood clot. Is what I'm getting at here, and those are obviously very, very dangerous things that we need to solve quickly. Time is always of essence with those.
Isn't it true about the stroke that if you catch it early within the first 6 hours, 7 hours, you can kind of help slow it down or reverse
Absolutely.
the effects? Yeah.
You can. Ding. You win a prize
I used
for
to be a nurse,
getting
so I
the
kinda
6
remember that.
hours.
I think I remember that. I think I remember that part.
Absolutely. So there's a medication where, and there's different types of strokes, right? There's a stroke where you bleed, and there's a stroke where a clot stops blood from getting up to parts of your brain. Okay, it's the easiest way to explain it. This type of stroke where there's a clot in the blood vessel and your blood can't get through to the other side, we can give a medication that will bust up this clot. And so the clot goes away, and then all of a sudden the blood can get to the rest of your brain. But we have to give that medication in most instances within 6 hours, or the risk of bleeding is too high versus what it actually does. It won't work. So that's why time is brain is a big thing. So if you see like a facial droop, we go with the acronym FAST. So F for face. So if you have a one-sided facial droop, or an A being like asymmetry, like if one side is numb and you can't move it versus the other, so you're asymmetrical, ask someone to smile. They smile like that. Now, my lips are crooked in general all the time. But if someone smiles and do this and one side of their mouth doesn't go up or droops, you call 911 right away. Don't even try to take them to the ER. Just call 911. Because those guys on the 911 truck can actually call the hospital and say, I think this is a stroke. Get everything ready. So you're not going to do that on the way to the ER, right? Where you're going to call the ER and we're going to be like, okay, hold, right? But the 911 guys, when they call, we can actually do something about that. So if you see that happening, call 911.
Jess wants to know, what is the stroke medication called?
Oh my God, I just lost it. TPA is the acronym, and I can't. Alteplase. That's the medication.
Okay.
It's not something you can like buy over the counter or whatever. It's very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
It's very crazy. It's super expensive, but absolutely worth it.
Now, here to piggyback off of that, because I've been a year with Bell's palsy, when I went in that morning when I felt my face doing weird things, I actually took myself to the hospital. But I mean, I went on my own, and they tested for stroke and for Bell's palsy. They were looking at both of it. I know.
This is I don't wag my finger a lot.
I know.
I'm gonna wag my finger
I
this
probably should
time.
have called something, but I felt that morning something was going on with my mouth, and I thought something's weird. So I thought, let me go and get it checked. And thank God I did. It was Bell's palsy.
Right. Well, and not that I wish Bell's palsy on anyone. Like, and
but,
here you are a year out, still dealing with it. But thank God it was not a stroke. Right.
Thank God it wasn't.
Yeah.
Thank God it wasn't. Are there any safe drugs for anxiety?
Yeah. Whoa. The safest drugs for anxiety are not drugs. Let me
There's
say that.
Right, there's that.
As I said before, and I'm going to break anxiety up into a couple of different parts here, because some people have anxiety that is so severe that it requires medication, and it requires prescription strength medication at high doses along with therapy. So whenever we talk about any sort of mental health issue where we're treating it with a medication, it always has to be in combination with some sort of therapy. That's what the medications are designed for, because the medications are never designed for you to be on them for life.
Right.
So we give you this medication. It calms down your signs and symptoms a little bit while we talk about a plan about how to deal with this anxiety. Try to get your brain chemistry in the right way, and then slowly wean you off of the medications. That's the blueprint. That's the wishful thinking. It never totally works that way. Right. On the lower end of anxiety, that is something that we all feel to some degree, like situational anxieties. Medication should not be the first option for those. There should be lots of other things. Massage. I love that Calm app. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I've seen it.
That thing is amazing. You can get the guy who's like, something about forest fires.
Oh,
You know, he's got that
yes,
low
okay.
voice or whatever. Matthew McConaughey. You can get all these stars, these people with really calm voices to read things to you.
I should do that. Make some money off
Or
of that.
yeah,
My
you should do
voice.
that with your
My
voice,
I
right?
should.
Or you just you can listen to rain, you can listen to whatever. I will tell you that I take like 5 minutes sometimes and just listen to rain and just like meditate. It is the most calming thing ever. And then I sort of feel real recentered. So massage, acupuncture, little things like that, calm app, meditation, all of those things are so powerful if you give them a chance
Yeah.
in dealing with our sort of like situational anxiety. And then in between there, sometimes a medication is needed, and we're still kind of using the medications that you've heard of. So like Wellbutrin, for instance, would be one on sort of the gentler scale, if you will, or like Prozac. You've heard of Prozac. People still use Prozac a lot, and then like Xanax.
Yeah.
Right. And Xanax, of course, is
I've taken that a few times.
absolutely.
For flying.
I feel like lots of people. Yes,
Yeah,
for flying.
Oh yes.
We also use really tiny baby doses of Xanax for sleep
Oh okay.
because there is such a tie between mental health, and particularly anxiety and depression, and sleep disorders.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of times it's because a lot of people will fall asleep, but they can't stay asleep. So they'll wake up 3 hours later and their mind is racing, and that's it. That's the best sleep that they were going to get that night. Xanax can be a wonder drug for some people, where not only does it make you a little bit sleepy, but then you sleep and you'll sleep for a full 8 hours. It's safe. It can be a little, not because your body gets physically addicted to it, but because you realize what being calm is like.
You're almost addicted to that kind of.
That's exactly what it
Right.
is. You get addicted to like, wow, I'm not so anxious. I'm cool. It's kind of like being high. If you smoke weed or edibles or however you ingest your marijuana with THC, it's very similar to that feeling of like, I'm chill. It's all good. Like whatever's going on is whatever's going on. People get addicted to that feeling and that sensation, and then they need it more and more and more, and then they just decide, well, I need this Xanax every day, because my job is stressful and whatever.
You know, things are stressful out there. And, you know, I had to learn how to redo my stress because I do chamomile teas, and they actually they work. They do work. My old thing was, you know, a shot of whiskey and I was fine, but I've had to learn how to, you know, change it up a little bit.
Not do the
be a little
shot of
healthier.
whiskey, right?
Yes, or a glass of wine for some people.
No, I was gonna say a glass of wine. So the research is still sort of out,
Yeah.
and I will always go back to. So you know, I'm working on my doctorate right now at a prestigious West Coast university that shall not be named.
Yes.
But they, you know, so I will always go back to the research and the evidence, and the research and the evidence is kind of plus or minus on a glass of wine a day. But it's not so strongly no that you shouldn't do it, and it's not so strongly yes that we're going to absolutely recommend that you do it. But if a 5-ounce pour, none of us pour 5 ounces, by the way. We all pour like 10, right? Don't get it twisted.
I have a giant glass and.
Right, or you're like, what was that show? Not Happy Endings, or the one that Courtney Cox on it when she came back.
Cougar Town.
Cougar Town. Oh my gosh,
She
we're
named,
nodding.
she
over.
named, she named her glasses.
named her
they,
wine-
they had names.
So you can't get that wine glass and then just be like, well, girl, I only had one glass of wine.
Well,
Like, it doesn't work that way.
No.
1 5-ounce pour of typically red, because there's a little bit more of the yummy, good stuff, healthy stuff in the red wine.
Red's good.
A day is totally fine. If you can't stop, that's an issue.
You know.
Then you're bordering alcoholism, and then we're not going to recommend wine at all, right?
You can't have any.
Right. But, you know, one glass of red wine a night, totally fine.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
1 or 2.
I don't... or 2 or 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3,
or-
whatever.
right.
No, actually, no. Nowadays, actually, I'm lightweight. Hi, I'm lighter weight now. I did a glass and a half the other night.
Okay.
And I was like, good.
And that was good. That was plenty.
And that was at the end of the night. And that was after a bowl bath.
Oh, see.
I know they
Those
say you
things
shouldn't
work.
drink while you're in the tub, but I do.
We
do.
We don't officially recommend it.
Exactly. So
We
don't follow me
officially-
at home. But I do. I get in the tub, I have a bowl bath, and I lay there, and I have a glass of wine next to me, and
It works.
then I have nothing on, and I love it.
I love that too. Another thing I love too, by the way, someone on our we have like lives going
Yes,
on
yes,
everywhere right now. Someone else actually on Instagram said she called it full spectrum, but CBD, cannabidiol oils, so cannabis oils. Or however you ingest that can work really well. We do have something called our like cannabidiol system that people don't really talk about. We didn't really learn it in nursing school
Yeah,
because
no.
it's been
Yeah,
shunned.
yeah.
We're now all learning this. The science is still really young, but anecdotally, meaning people's experience versus the research, people are having amazing results from CBD oils, CBD cookies, CBD creams, all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
creams especially, yeah, for
Right.
pain and stuff. Oh,
100%. So, and they're generally really safe. You know, I don't recommend ordering them just from anyone. Like maybe talk to someone who you know who does CBD oils or something and is reputable.
I agree.
And they have, you know, that you're actually ordering from a person or someone that you have a relationship with online or something. But there's lots of really, really good ones out there. And it's not that the CBD oils that you get from others are unsafe. A lot of times it's just not what you think it is. It's not actually CBD oil in the oil. It's just like olive oil, you know, or whatever. So get it from a reputable source. It can also help.
I agree. And this leads to, are there safe ED drugs?
Oh, there are.
Speaking of that too, because of blood pressure and things like that, and
Mm-hmm.
it's heart stuff. I know Cialis when it first came out, so people were having heart attacks. You know, I mean,
Right, it's true.
things like that. Yes,
It's true. And there's always sort of, whenever any new medication comes out, I think the manufacturers unfortunately know that, well, there's going to be a certain percentage, and hopefully that percentage is very, very low, but there's a certain percentage of people who are going to try this medication and have a really adverse reaction to it, and that's super scary. But Cialis, you mentioned, that has been around for a long time now. There are two forms of Cialis. There's one that lasts, there's like a Cialis daily and a Cialis like extended release that's even longer than 24 hours. Generally, so all of these medications need to come with a prescription and a conversation with a provider. Anymore that you can go to Hims now, or
Yes,
all
right.
these different things online, you're still having a conversation with a prescribing provider before you do this, because ED medications are safe on their own, but they do have pretty significant interactions with some other medications.
Okay.
So the big key is to make sure that you're not taking another blood pressure medication or a blood pressure medication that's going to react with this, because the biggest issue is called orthostatic hypotension, meaning when you stand up, your blood pressure drops, and then you go down and pass out. The passing out is not dangerous. The cracking your head on the
Yeah,
floor when
yeah.
you hit the ground, that's the dangerous part. And so, you know, these erectile dysfunction medications open up your blood vessels, and essentially all it's doing is allowing for greater blood flow to your penis during arousal. So then your penis already has mechanisms in place for when it's filled with blood and it becomes erect to keep the blood in there. But a lot of times it's getting enough blood flow there to trigger those mechanisms. That's kind of how these ED drugs work. But when all your blood vessels open up, your blood pressure naturally drops. It's just how our bodies work. If you're already on a medication that's opening up your blood
right.
vessels and dropping your blood pressure, and then you double that, your blood pressure bottoms out. It can be really dangerous.
Yes, yeah, definitely. No,
We
definitely.
see people in the ER with this all the time. So Cialis is great. Viagra is great. Stendra, I think is another one that's out there. Definitely have a conversation with your provider before you do this, and know that I feel like it's really important that people know this. Know that not all ED drugs work the same for everyone. So if you have long-standing heart disease, or you have diabetes, or you have some other medical issues going on, Viagra is probably just not going to work as well for you as it does for someone else.
Yeah. Well, I think any medications, period, I think it's a big thing. Any medications sometimes work differently for everybody. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's.
You're winning tonight, James. Watch out.
I love
I'm
it.
going to nominate you for an award. Oh, wait,
my
somebody
God.
did
Oh, my
already.
God.
Ha
And
ha.
on that note, we're going to take our last break of the evening. Extra Connections will be right back with more with James, the Ask NP.
I'm the interviewer. Meeting all kinds of people from all walks of life. Talking back and forth. Good times to strive. I'm the interviewer. I'm the interviewer. Affecting change in the world, sharing knowledge and tips, lifting each other up from theirs to my lips. Asking the questions, getting the answers, connecting together these people to dancers. I'm the interviewer. Affecting change in the world, sharing knowledge and tips, lifting each other up from theirs to my lips. I'm the interviewer. I'm the interviewer. Meeting all kinds of people from all walks of life. Talking back and forth. Good times to strive. Affecting change in the sharing knowledge and tips. Lifting each other up from theirs to my lips. Asking the questions, getting the answers, connecting together new people to dancers. Asking the questions, getting the answers. I'm the interviewer. I'm the interviewer. I'm meeting all kinds of people from all walks of life. Talking back and forth. Good times to strike.
And we are back. It's Extra Connections with James Simmons over here. Ask the MP. Follow him everywhere. He's always has great videos and talks about what's going on out there in the health world in plain terms.
Plain, non-medical speak. Although, you know, I was getting a little deep there. Sometimes I was like,
I like that,
medical.
though. That's good. You mix it in
thank
there.
you.
We're on the After Party Radio, so of course we're here. And the song I just played was I'm the Interviewer. That's also free on my SoundCloud page. You can download it and have it and have a good time and enjoy that. Shout out to my producer, Palms. Okay, there's two things that we kind of want to talk about lastly in this last segment. And one is, when should you worry about moles?
Ooh.
I've got this question asked me like 4 or 5 times, though.
Isn't
so
it
it's interesting.
something? Yes.
I got a mole, and oh my God, and I had a mole on my face that just fell off today, so it's like whatever. It's like sure, I have little moles and things all over the place.
Very
And skin
topical.
tags. Yeah, so
well,
that's
have
good.
any of your moles or skin tags turned into anything?
No. I've been very
really?
fortunate.
Okay,
the ones I got
good.
tested, I've been totally fine and everything. So.
And you do get them tested. You have them had them checked out.
I get the little what you call the molect whatever they call them. They call those things now. They do
Mole
patrol.
Molectomy. I love. That's a good name.
Why not
for
molectomy? Some name. We got these out there. It's been a while.
Whatever dermatologists are watching, and you name your dermatology clinic Mole Patrol.
Mole patrol.
You need to pay James Lott Jr. for that. Okay, so moles. I feel like honestly this is the two top questions I get, because people really do ask the NP stuff like all the time. But I leave my DMs open to be slid into. So this is the whole point of it, right? So people slide into my DMs with typically STI questions.
I'm sure.
So like, do I have chlamydia, gonorrhea, herpes, whatever's going on? And the 2 is, what is this thing on my insert body part?
Right.
Foot, hand,
Under my
penis,
shoulder,
vagina,
right, yes,
labia,
whatever. Hand,
eyelid, earlobe. Like, honestly, and people will send me pictures. It's crazy.
Okay.
I've seen more stuff on more people's parts, but that's good. This is why we do this, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
moles, we're going to learn the ABCDEs
Ooh, okay.
of moles.
Okay.
And now I'm going to forget them. Oh my gosh, this is what happens when you're live, right? The acronyms come up, and
Yes.
I did have a little sheet of paper where I had them out. So A, I know, is asymmetry for sure. So if you have one side of your mole that is like smooth and round, and then the other side is really jagged, like it's not, it looks like an asymmetrical mole, that is an issue.
Okay.
Okay. B is for border. So that border, even if it's perfectly round, or it's kind of jagged on one side and jagged on the other, but they kind of look the same-ish, but that border is hairy, like fuzzy, or raised,
Ooh, okay.
or like has a different color around it. So the border of the mole is not the color of the mole or the color of your skin. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's an issue.
Got it.
So asymmetry, border. C is color. So if you have gray, black, red, always not good. If you have more than 3 colors in a mole,
Ooh.
also not good. Something that should be. So the mole could be totally fine, but then you're like, but this mole is like 4 different shades of brown. But we need to get that one checked out. So that was C, right?
Yeah.
A, B, C, D, B. D is diameter, 6 millimeters. We like moles 6 millimeters or less.
Okay, we like them. Okay.
If we like all moles because they're super cute, right? As long as they don't turn into skin cancer, particularly melanoma, because there are different types of skin cancers. But melanoma is the one we really don't like. But highly treatable if caught early. So D for diameter, 6 millimeters, and you can literally, there's apps on your phone that you can take pictures of stuff and they will measure it for you. So measuring this is not hard. But I have a couple of moles here, right? These are obviously much smaller than 6 millimeters. They're fine. They're perfectly round. They're only one color, maybe 2. And they have an A, B, C, D, E. These moles, why I know they're good is because they have not evolved. They haven't changed. A changing mole can really signify that something's going on, particularly if you have a mole that is in an area that gets a lot of sun and it's been the same mole for 15 years. And then all of a sudden you just notice one day, well, that mole was never red before. Or why does that mole look like a triangle and it was always a circle? Aha, ha, ha. It's evolving. That's the E, evolving. You need to get that checked out right away. So asymmetry, these are the A, B, C, D, E's of moles. So asymmetry, B for border. We don't like weird looking borders. C is color, like 2 colors or less is good. More than 2 colors is bad. D for diameter, 6 millimeters. And E for evolving.
You did it. A, B, C, D, E.
F for fast. That was fast.
That
I
was
was
good.
talking
That was good.
fast,
That was
right?
good. That was good. But I know people get asked about, people worry about no moles.
All the
About it
time.
all the
It is a really big thing, and there are so. And listen, it's not a complex thing. Any trained primary care provider knows how to identify that something's wrong here. Okay, and that's kind of all they need to know. So you don't need to like find a dermatologist, go to a specialist, think you have cancer, blah blah blah. Just go to your primary care provider and be like, this thing is changing, and it is like 14 colors, and your primary care provider will be like, cool, this is the next step.
Oh my goodness. Well, that leads to actually, this is the final kind of question I want to talk about, and that is when, you just the other day, when should you go to the ER? When should you go to the doctor? When should you go? Like something happens, you're like, oh, I'll handle it myself, it's fine, it's okay. And then other times you're like, well, should I go? Like, I mean, it does, my toe does seem a little weird. Like, when should you go? When should you go?
When should I go? Whoa, this is a really tough question.
Yes.
And I just have to put the legalese out there
Please
a
do,
little
please
bit
do.
to like sort of protect all involved. This is not a substitute at all for in-person medical advice. You guys hear that too? Everybody hear this? This is not a substitute for that. If there is something going on right now, call 911, okay? Always also default to calling 911. So if you think something's going on, call 911. Call 911. That being said, you can sort of chunk up what's going on with me into my primary care provider, an urgent care, or an ER, sort of based off of time. So let's go with like a common cold, typically caused by viruses, will typically go away on its own in about 7 to 10 days. We just got to deal with them. But after 7 or 10 days, or you just have this fever that won't go away after 3 or 4 days, and I'm talking about adults here, okay? Kiddos are different. But if you have a fever that's 3 or 4 days, and I'm hitting it with ibuprofen and Tylenol, and it's just not going away, or this viral thing has been going on for like 10 days, it might actually be a bacterial thing.
Okay.
It might actually be pneumonia or something like that. But you notice the window of time that we're in is 7 to 10 days. That's something you're calling your primary care provider about. So you might call them on day 6 and be like, girl, I need to come into this office. I need you to check me out and see what the heck is going on. Because it's going to take you a couple days to get into them, right? That's something you go to your primary care provider about. Or, you know what, my third toe on my 4th foot has been bothering me for weeks, right? Like I need somebody to check that out. That's a primary care provider thing. Urgent care. So something that you know needs attention, but it can wait a few days. Urgent care is going to sort of be in the middle of that, of a primary and an ER. So an urgent care is something simple that needs attention pretty quickly and you know is not life-threatening. The most common, one of the most common urgent care issues is this cold thing that goes on, and you can't see your primary care provider for like 2 weeks. Well, you can go to urgent care. Other thing, people cut themselves constantly.
Yes.
And I'm just as guilty of it as anybody else, but people cut themselves all the time. So you slice that finger while you're cutting celery or whatever, because you're juicing celery every morning, like because everybody's into that now.
Yes.
So you cut your finger, and your finger's not falling off, and you can kind of control the bleeding, but it looks like a pretty good cut. Yeah, that's an urgent care thing, right? You don't need to clog up an emergency department's waiting room because the urgent care can handle that. They have x-ray machines there. Some of them have CAT scan machines. They can draw labs. They can suture you just as well at an urgent care as anybody can do at an emergency department, okay? A cough that's bugging you for a little while.
The cough, that's another one too.
Yep, things like that can sometimes be urgent care things unless that cough has been persistent for days and days and days and days.
But how many days do you think for a cough? Just speaking of that, like how many days? I mean, like strong cough, continuous cough, every day. How many days do you think you should kind of go get that checked out?
So I put coughs into different categories, asthmatics and non-asthmatics.
Okay.
So for a lot of asthmatics, coughing is the #1 symptom, and you won't actually ever wheeze. you'll just cough and cough and cough and cough and cough. A lot of times what that is that your bronchioles have closed up and you're actually having an asthma attack.
Okay.
And you're going to need an ER to help you bust that,
Okay.
probably, okay? If you don't have asthma or it doesn't feel like asthma to you, but this cough is just going on, sometimes you got to ride this cough for like a week
Okay.
before you really do anything about it. Go get all that over-the-counter stuff. I'm a little old school in this, but I still like humidifiers.
Oh, okay.
Just make sure it's either really clean or you buy a new one every time you get sick. But a good clean humidifier, I think, can do wonders. There's lots of over-the-counter sort of things that can help with coughs. But so moving from coughs, let's say that cough is also like I can't breathe, or the elephant is sitting on my chest, or I'm an adult with a temperature over 103, or I'm a kiddo with a temperature over like 103.5 or 104. You can see your kneecap coming out of your earlobe, like go to the ER, like call 911, right?
Yes.
What we were talking about earlier, if you think you're having a stroke, one side of the face is drooping like that. I mean, things that you know are life-threatening. That's really what an ER is for, and I'm a big fan of calling 911. They are like little mini hospitals on wheels, and sometimes the difference between the 20 minutes it takes you to get in the car, drive to the hospital, go to the ER, register, it's busy, the security guy doesn't want you to park there, it's like a mess, right? The next thing you know, it's 2 hours before you see anyone. Whereas if you call 911, they're at your house in 5 or 10 minutes in most neighborhoods. Different discussion.
That's all discussion. Yeah.
Right. 10 minutes to the hospital, but on the way they can do stuff. So by the time you get to the hospital, a lot of times you're feeling better. Or a lot of times they've been able to sort of semi-diagnose you, call ahead, and say, hey guys, I think it's pneumonia coming in, or I think this is a stroke, I think this is a legit heart attack, or I think this guy's kneecap that's coming out of his earlobe might need surgery. Like, can you guys call the surgeons? This is what 911 does, and that's why we should use it.
Yes. And the ER is there to help basically for extreme emergencies mostly.
Absolutely.
Urgent care is for in between, kind of.
Yep.
And then
your primary should always know everything. If you go to the ER, you should call your primary care provider, send them an email. Some people are in a text relationship with their primary. I think that's great. However you communicate with your primary care provider, I think everyone should have one. Even if it's digitally, everyone should have one. Everyone should use them. Everyone should keep them informed because they will know you so well, and that can make all the difference in your health.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for all your answers today.
Well, you're
I think
very welcome.
we answered.
Thank you for having me.
Did
Did we get everything?
I'm trying to think. Because we're almost done. Just last little thing was just what are your feelings on Eastern medicine? Someone asked about that. But that's a very long discussion. We can't even do that.
Right. I mean, generally, I love it.
Yeah.
Generally, I think it's good.
But you feel like you should work with Western, like work together somehow?
100%.
Yeah,
There's even hospitals that have what they call East-West programs. So Eastern medicine meets Western medicine, but in the Western medicine environment. I think those are great.
Maybe one day when he comes back on, he'll be back on again. We'll do a whole
We'll do a whole thing.
We'll do a whole thing on that. We'll talk about that, of course. Thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome.
And that's ending in
the lights going off. Bye, guys.
99 viewers. That's crazy.
Yeah,
okay, that's good. So tell me where they can find you actually on the social media platforms.
Well, thank you. So I'm everywhere at Ask the NP. NP is a nurse practitioner. So on the Twitters and the Instagrams and even YouTube. Did you know all these videos, people are commenting on these videos on YouTube and I've been ignoring you for weeks. I'm so sorry. So that's my bad. Also on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram at Ask the NP.
Thank you, everybody, for watching on here. I see people said very informative. Thanks so much. The James app. That's what we do, the James app. Who knows? Don't give me any more ideas. I do 20 different things already as it is.
Love it. I love
Don't
it.
give me any more ideas. But yeah, go ahead and follow. Make sure you follow him, and I'll put a post on the page with his link so you can actually link to him, of course. And, of course, thanks for watching this show. I'm James Lott Jr. We're here on Mondays. I'm here next Monday with a very special guest. Her name is Tanisha Porter. She is the president of, let me make sure I say this correctly, the president of the NAPO LA chapter of professional organizers, and so I'm very excited to have her. Yes, I met her at an event recently, and it turns out we live 10 blocks away from each other.
You guys are gonna organize like nerd out.
Yeah,
is there like a hashtag organizer nerds?
Maybe now there is.
Is it? Because I look, by the way, nerds in a good way, right?
Yeah,
I'm a total nerd.
Yes.
Like clearly, I just rambled about medical stuff for an hour.
Exactly. Watch, listen to us and follow us on the After Party, which is THA After Party. Thank you, Brittany, in the booth for your help, of course, and everything. And actually, the person who got me signed up on here is here in the building. Ms. Montana, I love you very much. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm James Lott Jr. Follow me. We're all James Lott Jr. sold at James Lott Jr. on social media platforms. And I love you. See you next time.